Thunder rolled across Chicago's skyline as Elena Martinez counted tips in the back room of Lucia's, her fingers moving automatically through worn bills. $347. Not enough. Never enough. The restaurant had been her second home for 4 years, ever since she'd arrived from Phoenix with nothing but a high school diploma and her mother's medical bills chasing her like ghosts. She was 24 now, and the weight of those bills, $63,000 in collections, pressed down on her shoulders every single day. Elena, table 12 needs refills, Marco called from the kitchen doorway. She nodded, tucking the cash into her purse and grabbing a water pitcher. Table 12. The corner booth where men in expensive suits conducted business over untouched plates of pasta. She'd learned not to listen, not to look too closely, not to remember faces. But tonight, one face was impossible to ignore. Dante Moretti sat at the head of the table, 35 years old and radiating the kind of authority that made the air feel heavier. He wore all black, suit, shirt, everything, and his dark eyes tracked her movement the moment she approached. "Gentlemen," she said quietly, refilling water glasses with steady hands despite her thundering heart. "Can I get you anything else?" "We're fine," one of the men said dismissively. But Dante's gaze never left her face. She felt it like a physical touch, assessing, calculating, seeing things she didn't want seen. Elena finished her task and retreated quickly, hyper-aware of his attention following her across the dining room. If you're enjoying this story so far, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe. Drop a comment telling me where in the world you're watching from. I love hearing from you. The night stretched endlessly. More tables, more orders, more forced smiles for customers who treated her like furniture. Her feet ached in shoes worn thin at the heels. Her lower back screamed from hours of carrying heavy trays. By midnight, when the last customers finally left, Elena was running on fumes and desperation. She collected her belongings and headed for the back exit, the alley route she always took despite Marco's warnings. It was faster, and the L train ran less frequently after midnight. The alley smelled like garbage and rain. She'd taken maybe 10 steps when she heard the voices. "You've got 3 seconds to tell me where the shipment went." The voice was cold, controlled, terrifying in its calmness. Elena froze. Ahead, barely visible in the dim light from a street lamp, 4 men surrounded a fifth who was on his knees. One of the standing men held a gun. She should have run. Should have turned around and gone back inside. Instead, she watched in horror as the man with the gun, Dante Moretti, she realized with ice flooding her veins, pressed the barrel against the kneeling man's temple. "I don't know anything," the man on the ground sobbed. "I swear I don't know." "Wrong answer." The gunshot shattered the night. Elena's scream ripped from her throat before she could stop it. 5 pairs of eyes turned toward her. Dante's expression went from cold focus to sharp alarm in an instant. "Get her," he snapped. Elena ran. Her worn shoes slipped on wet pavement. Her purse bounced against her hip. Behind her, footsteps pounded closer. She made it maybe 20 feet before strong hands grabbed her arms, yanking her to a halt. She struggled, kicking, screaming, fighting with everything she had. "Stop," a familiar voice commanded. Dante appeared in front of her, his presence somehow more terrifying than the men restraining her. "Stop fighting." "Let me go," Elena gasped. "Please, I won't tell anyone. I swear I didn't see anything." "You saw everything." His dark eyes studied her face. "I know you. You work at Lucia's. Elena, right?" The fact that he knew her name made everything worse. "Please," she whispered. "I have a little sister. She's only 16. She needs me. Please don't." "Take her to the car," Dante interrupted, his tone giving nothing away. "The house, not the warehouse." "Boss, are you sure?" one of his men asked. "She's a witness. Protocol says—" I know what protocol says. Dante's voice dropped to something dangerous. And I'm changing it. Take her to the house. Now. They dragged her to a black SUV. Elena's mind raced with terror and impossible calculations. She was going to die. They were taking her somewhere to kill her quietly. And Sophia, her baby sister back in Phoenix, would never know what happened. The drive lasted 20 minutes. Elena spent it trembling in the back seat between two silent guards, while Dante sat up front, making phone calls in rapid Italian. When they finally stopped, she found herself staring at a mansion. Actual mansion, with iron gates and a circular driveway, and architecture that belonged in movies, not real life. Out, Dante ordered. She stumbled from the car, her legs barely holding her weight. One of the guards gripped her elbow, guiding her up marble steps and through massive wooden doors. Inside was even more overwhelming. Chandelier light glinted off polished floors. Art that looked museum quality hung on cream-colored walls. Everything screamed wealth and power. Dante led them through the house to a study lined with bookshelves. He dismissed his men with a gesture, leaving Elena alone with him for the first time. Sit, he said, indicating a leather chair. Elena sat because her legs gave out. Dante poured amber liquid into 2 glasses at a bar cart, then crossed to hand her one. Drink. You're shaking. You killed someone. Her voice came out hoarse. I watched you kill someone. Yes. No denial, no justification. He stole from me, betrayed my trust, got 3 of my men killed because of information he sold. So yes, I killed him. Elena's hands shook so violently the whiskey nearly spilled. What are you going to do to me? That's the question. Dante sat in the chair across from her, studying her with unnerving intensity. You witnessed a murder. You can identify me, identify my men. Standard procedure would be to eliminate the problem. Please. But I'm not going to kill you. He said it simply, like deciding what to have for dinner. You're not part of my world. You didn't ask to see what you saw. Killing you would be wasteful. Relief and confusion warred in Elena's chest. Then why am I here? Because I need to ensure your silence. He took a sip of his drink. And because I'm curious about you. Curious? I've been coming to Lucia's for 2 years. You've served my table maybe 50 times. You never stare, never eavesdrop, never show any reaction to the things you overhear. His head tilted slightly. You're either extremely professional or extremely afraid. Which is it? Both, Elena admitted. I need my job. I can't afford to lose it because I made powerful men uncomfortable. The medical bills, Dante said, and her blood went cold. $63,000 in collections. Your mother's cancer treatment before she died 6 months ago. You're paying it off at $300 per month, which means you'll be in debt for another 18 years. How do you know that? Panic edged into her voice. I know everything about people in my territory. He leaned back, somehow more intimidating in his relaxation than he'd been with a gun in his hand. Including the fact that you send money to Phoenix every week. Your sister Sophia, correct? 16 years old, living with your Aunt Maria. You're putting her through private school. Elena felt violated, exposed. Stop. Please stop. I'm making a point. Dante set down his glass. You're drowning in obligations that aren't your fault. Working yourself to death for people you love. That kind of loyalty, that kind of responsibility. I understand it. What do you want from me? I want to offer you a deal. He stood, walking to his desk and retrieving a folder. I'll pay off your mother's medical debt. All of it. I'll also provide enough money to ensure Sophia can finish school without you having to sacrifice everything. It sounded too good to be true, which meant it was. In exchange for what? Elena asked. Your silence about tonight. Permanently. He opened the folder, revealing documents. You'll sign a non-disclosure agreement. You'll never speak about what you saw to anyone under any circumstances. You'll continue your life exactly as it was. That's it? You pay off my debt and I just don't talk? That's it. He slid the papers across to her. $63,000 in exchange for your discretion. Elena stared at the documents. Her mother's debt, gone. Sophia's future, secured. All she had to do was keep quiet about watching a murder. Her hands trembled as she reached for the pen. Wait, Dante said. Before you sign, understand what this means. If you ever break this agreement, if you ever speak to police or reporters or anyone about what you saw, the consequences will be severe, not just for you, for Sophia too. The threat was clear. Sign this and stay silent, or everyone she loved would suffer. I understand, Elena whispered. She signed. 3 days later, Elena's bank account showed a deposit of $63,000. The collection agencies stopped calling. The weight she'd carried for so long simply vanished. She should have felt relieved. Instead, she felt owned. Dante Moretti had bought her silence, and in doing so, he'd bought a piece of her soul. What she didn't know, what she couldn't possibly know, was that Dante Moretti had watched her for months before that night. Had noticed the way she moved through the restaurant with quiet grace. Had seen the exhaustion she tried to hide, the strength in her shoulders despite obvious pain. He'd intended to approach her eventually, to offer help, to find some excuse to speak to her beyond their brief exchanges at table 12. Then she'd witnessed his darkest moment, and everything had changed. As Elena left the bank that afternoon, free of debt for the first time in years, Dante watched from his car across the street. He told himself this was just insurance, making sure she kept the deal. But when she smiled, actually smiled, brilliant and genuine, his chest tightened in a way that had nothing to do with business. He was in trouble. He just didn't know it yet. 2 weeks passed before Elena saw Dante Moretti again. She'd almost convinced herself that night in the alley had been a fever dream, except for the zero balance on her debt statements and the extra $1,000 that appeared in her account every Friday without explanation. You have a guardian angel, Brittany, her co-worker, said during a slow Tuesday lunch shift. Seriously, Ellie, who pays off someone's entire debt and then keeps sending money? A loan shark with patience, Elena muttered, though she knew that wasn't true. The money felt like a chain. Every deposit reminded her of what she'd witnessed, what she'd agreed to never speak about. She thought about returning it, about breaking free from whatever hold Dante had on her. Then Sophia called from Phoenix, crying happy tears because she'd gotten accepted to Northwestern's pre-med program with a full scholarship. I couldn't have even applied without you helping with my SAT prep courses, her sister sobbed. You saved my life, Ellie. So Elena kept the money. For Sophia. Always for Sophia. She was closing the restaurant alone on a Wednesday night. Marco had a family emergency when the front door opened despite the closed sign. Dante walked in wearing dark jeans and a black sweater, looking somehow more dangerous in casual clothes than he did in his tailored suits. We're closed, Elena said, her heart hammering. I know. He locked the door behind him. I wanted to talk to you, privately. Every instinct screamed danger. About what? About the fact that you've been trying to return the money I send you. He moved closer, his presence filling the small restaurant. You've attempted 3 wire transfers back to my accounts. Why? Elena lifted her chin. I don't want to owe you anything beyond our agreement. The money isn't a loan, it's compensation. For what? I'm already keeping quiet. For the burden of knowledge. Dante stopped a few feet away, studying her. For carrying the weight of what you saw. For the nightmares you've been having. Her breath caught. How do you know about... You work doubles now. 4 nights a week instead of 3. You're running on maybe 4 hours of sleep. You jump at loud noises. His dark eyes softened fractionally. You're suffering because of something I did. The money is meant to ease that. Money doesn't erase memories. No, but it can provide options. Freedom to choose something other than survival. Elena's hands clenched at her sides. Why do you care? You got what you wanted. I signed your agreement. I'm not a threat. You were never a threat. He said it with such certainty. You're a good person who saw something terrible. That makes you a victim, not an enemy. Don't. She stepped back. Don't try to make yourself noble. You killed someone. You threatened my sister. You bought my silence. Those aren't the actions of a good man. I never claimed to be good. Dante's jaw tightened. I'm exactly what you think I am. A criminal, a killer, a man who operates outside the law. But I have rules, Elena. I don't hurt innocents. I don't make people suffer unnecessarily. And I don't abandon my responsibilities. I'm not your responsibility. You became my responsibility the moment you witnessed that execution. He moved closer, and Elena found herself backing into a table. Whether you like it or not, you're connected to me now, which means you're under my protection. I don't want your protection. Too bad, you have it anyway. His hand came up slowly, giving her time to pull away, and brushed a strand of hair from her face. There are people in my world who would hurt you to get to me. I won't let that happen. The touch was gentle, almost reverent, completely at odds with the violence she knew him capable of. Elena's breath shortened. This is insane. I should be running from you, not... She stopped herself. Not what? Dante's voice dropped lower. Nothing. This is wrong. All of it. Yes. He didn't move away. But that doesn't change the reality. You're in my life now, Elena. The only question is whether you'll accept that, or keep fighting something inevitable. Before she could respond, his phone rang. Dante answered with a sharp, "What?" His expression transformed instantly, from heated intensity to cold fury. When? Where is she now? Elena watched fear replace everything else in his eyes. I'm on my way. He hung up and looked at Elena with desperate urgency. I have to go. Lock the door behind me. Don't leave until I send someone to make sure you get home safely. Wait, what's wrong? My daughter. The words seemed torn from him. Someone tried to take her from school. My men stopped it, but... He ran a hand through his hair, composure cracking. I need to get to her. Elena's entire worldview shifted. You have a daughter? Yes. She's 7, and she's terrified. He was already moving toward the door. Marco will be here in 10 minutes. Wait for him. Dante? She didn't know what she wanted to say. Just that watching this ruthless man fall apart over his child changed something fundamental. He paused at the door, looking back at her. I'm sorry. For involving you in this. For everything. Then he was gone. Elena stood in the empty restaurant, processing. Dante Moretti, killer, crime boss, the man who haunted her nightmares, was also a father. A father whose daughter had almost been kidnapped. Her phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Marco is 8 minutes away. Stay inside. Lock the door. She locked the door. And realized with creeping certainty that Dante was right. She was connected to his world now, whether she wanted to be or not. The next morning, Elena arrived at Lucia's to find the restaurant closed. A note on the door read, Family emergency, closed until further notice. Management. Her phone rang immediately, Dante's number, now saved in her contacts though she hadn't put it there. Don't go inside, he said without preamble. It's not safe. What happened? The people who tried to take my daughter. They're sending a message. Lucia's is in their territory. They're making it clear they can reach anyone connected to me. His voice was raw with exhaustion. You need to leave Chicago. Today. I'll arrange transportation back to Phoenix. Money for a fresh start. No. The word surprised her as much as him. Elena, you don't understand. These people won't hesitate to hurt you to hurt me. You need to. I'm not running. She didn't know where the conviction came from. Sophia's Northwestern acceptance. She starts in 3 months. I'm not leaving Chicago right before she gets here. Then I'll move her somewhere else. Another school. Another state. Stop. Elena's grip tightened on her phone. Stop trying to control everything. You don't get to upend my sister's life because you have enemies. Silence stretched between them. I'm trying to protect you, Dante finally said, his voice quiet. Then protect me here. You said I'm under your protection. So protect me without making me disappear. That's not... He stopped. Started again. If you stay, you'll need to change your routine. Move to a secure location. Accept security detail. I'm not moving into some safe house like a prisoner. Then you'll stay somewhere I can ensure your safety. His tone shifted to something commanding. My home. You'll move into the mansion. Guest wing, complete privacy. But you'll be protected. That's insane. That's non-negotiable. Either you accept my protection on my terms, or I will physically put you on a plane to Phoenix. He didn't sound like he was bluffing. Choose, Elena. She thought about Sophia, about finally having her sister close after years apart. Thought about the life she'd built in Chicago, small and struggling, but hers. Fine, but I have conditions. Name them. I keep working. Maybe not at Lucia's, but somewhere. I'm not going to be some kept woman sitting around your mansion. She paced the sidewalk. And I want to meet your daughter. If I'm going to be living in the same house, she deserves to know who I am. Another pause. Agreed, Dante said. Pack what you need. I'll have someone pick you up in 2 hours. Dante? Yes? Is she okay? Your daughter? His voice roughened. She's scared. But she's safe. That's all that matters. After he hung up, Elena stared at her phone in disbelief. She'd just agreed to move into a Mafia boss's house, to accept protection from the man whose violence had started all of this. Brittany was going to think she'd lost her mind. Hell, maybe she had. The mansion looked even more imposing in daylight. Elena stood in the circular driveway with her 2 suitcases. Everything she owned fit in 2 suitcases, and tried to steady her breathing. Dante met her at the door. He looked exhausted, still wearing the same clothes from last night, dark circles under his eyes. Thank you for coming, he said, taking her suitcases like they weighed nothing. I know this isn't what you wanted. Where's your daughter? Upstairs. She's been asking about you. That surprised her. Why would she ask about me? Because I told her a brave woman was coming to stay with us. Someone who needed protection, just like her. Dante set her bags down in the marble foyer. She wants to meet someone else who's scared. It makes her feel less alone. Elena's heart cracked a little. He led her through the mansion to a bright living room filled with children's books and toys. A small girl sat on the couch, clutching a stuffed rabbit. She had Dante's dark eyes and hair, but her features were softer, delicate. Isabella? Dante said gently. This is Elena, the friend I told you about. The child studied Elena with solemn intensity. Are you scared too? Elena knelt down to her level, honest in a way she hadn't expected. Yes, I'm very scared. Papa says being scared is okay. It means we're smart enough to know when there's danger. Isabella hugged her rabbit tighter. Are the bad men after you too? Isabella, Dante started, but Elena held up a hand. Yes, she told the child. But your papa is making sure we're both safe. That's what he does. He protects people he cares about. Isabella considered this. Then she scooted over on the couch. You can sit with me. Bunny and I will protect you too. Elena sat, and the 7-year-old immediately leaned against her side. Over Isabella's head, Elena met Dante's eyes, the gratitude and something deeper, something vulnerable and raw in his expression made her chest tight. She'd come here for safety, for Sophia's future. But watching this dangerous man's daughter trust her so easily, Elena realized she'd just crossed another line. She was becoming part of Dante Moretti's life. His real life, not just the dangerous edges. And despite everything, despite the fear and the impossibility of it all, some part of her wanted to stay. If you're hooked on this story, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss an upload. Your support means everything and helps me bring you more emotional stories like this one. Living in Dante Moretti's house changed everything Elena thought she knew about him. The man who'd executed someone without hesitation made pancakes every Sunday morning. The crime boss who commanded fear across Chicago read bedtime stories to his daughter in different voices that made Isabella giggle uncontrollably. The killer who'd threatened Elena's sister tucked his child in every night and checked her room 3 times before he could sleep. It was disorienting, humanizing, dangerous in ways that had nothing to do with violence. "You're staring again," Brittany said over coffee at a cafe 3 weeks after Elena had moved in. It was one of the few outings Dante allowed, and only because 2 of his men sat at a nearby table, watching. "I'm not staring." "You've been talking about him for 20 minutes. How he helps Isabella with homework, how he's teaching you Italian, how he looks when he thinks no one's watching." Brittany leaned forward. "Ellie, you're falling for him." "I'm not." But the denial sounded weak even to her own ears. "You're living in his house, taking care of his daughter, having dinner with him every night like you're playing family. It's not like that." "Then what is it like?" Elena stirred her coffee, trying to find words for something she didn't understand herself. "He's different than I thought. Still dangerous, still criminal, but also broken. He lost his wife 3 years ago. Car accident. Isabella was in the back seat. Saw everything. That's why she's so quiet, so fearful. She watched her mother die." Brittany's expression softened. "That's awful. But Ellie, trauma doesn't excuse what he is. What he does." "I know that." Elena's voice dropped. "I see his men coming and going. I hear phone calls where he's making decisions about shipments and territories and enforcement. I'm not naive about who he is. But I also see him with Isabella. The way he's so gentle with her. So patient. The way he's trying so hard to give her a normal childhood despite everything." Elena met her friend's eyes. "And I see the way he looks at me. Like I'm something precious he's afraid to break. Because you might be the only good thing in his life that he hasn't destroyed yet." The words hit harder than Brittany probably intended. Before Elena could respond, one of Dante's men, Marco, the one with the scar across his jaw, approached their table. "Miss Martinez, we need to leave. Now." The urgency in his tone killed any argument. Elena grabbed her purse and followed him to the waiting SUV, Brittany trailing behind with wide, frightened eyes. "What's happening?" Elena asked as Marco pulled into traffic with aggressive speed. "Potential threat near the cafe. Boss wants you back at the house immediately." The drive took 15 minutes that felt like hours. When they arrived, Dante was waiting in the foyer, his expression thunderous. "Inside," he snapped. "Both of you." They followed him to his office. The moment the door closed, he rounded on Elena. "I told you that cafe was too exposed. Too many sightlines, too many variables I can't control." "Nothing happened," Elena interrupted. "We had coffee. That's all." "This time. What about next time when my enemies decide you're a target worth taking?" His control was fracturing. "Do you understand what they would do to you? To get to me? Then maybe I shouldn't be here at all." The words burst out before she could stop them. Maybe I should leave Chicago like you originally suggested. Go back to Phoenix where I'm not a pawn in your war. No. The word was flat. Absolute. You're not leaving. You don't get to decide that. I do when your safety is at stake. Dante moved closer, and Elena saw real fear beneath his anger. You think I want you here as some kind of prisoner? I hate that you have to live like this. I hate that every time you leave this house, I spend hours terrified something will happen to you. But I can't. His voice cracked. I can't let you go. Not now. The confession hung between them, raw and undeniable. Brittany cleared her throat. I'm just going to wait outside. She slipped from the office, leaving Elena alone with Dante and the truth neither of them had spoken aloud. What are we doing? Elena whispered. This thing between us. It's impossible. I know. He didn't move closer, but his eyes held hers with devastating intensity. You're everything I shouldn't want. Good, pure, untouched by the violence that defines my world. You should hate me. I should. She took a shaky breath. I tried to. That first month I tried so hard to see only the monster. But then Isabella started calling me Lena and asking me to braid her hair. And you started leaving coffee exactly how I like it on the kitchen counter every morning. And last week when I couldn't sleep, you sat with me until dawn, just talking. Elena, I'm falling in love with you. The admission felt like jumping off a cliff. I'm falling in love with a man who kills people, who runs a criminal empire, whose world is violence and danger and everything I should run from, and I don't know how to stop. Dante closed the distance between them in 2 strides. His hands cupped her face with a gentleness that contradicted everything he was capable of. You think I'm not falling too? That I don't lie awake at night wanting you so badly it physically hurts? That I don't imagine a life where I'm not this. He gestured at himself with disgust. Where I'm someone worthy of you? You are worthy? I'm not. I never will be. His thumbs brushed her cheekbones. But God help me, I'm too selfish to let you go. Even knowing I'll destroy you eventually. Even knowing this ends in heartbreak. Maybe it doesn't have to. It does. Men like me don't get happy endings, Elena. We get blood and betrayal and violence until someone finally puts us down. His voice was hollow. I should send you away, should protect you from me, but I can't. I'm not strong enough. Elena reached up, covering his hands with hers. Then don't be strong. Be selfish. Be whatever you need to be, but don't push me away. The kiss happened like a storm finally breaking, inevitable, consuming, desperate. Dante's mouth claimed hers with barely leashed hunger while his hands tangled in her hair. Elena pressed closer, tasting coffee and mint and something darker, more dangerous. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, Dante rested his forehead against hers. This changes everything. I know. My enemies will see you as a weakness, something to exploit. Let them try. He almost smiled. You're braver than I gave you credit for. Or more foolish. Elena pulled back enough to meet his eyes. But I'm not walking away from you. From Isabella. From whatever this is we're building. Even knowing what I am? What I've done? I'm not saying I approve of your business. I'll never approve of the violence. She held his gaze steadily. But I see the man behind the monster, the father who makes pancakes and reads bedtime stories, the man who sits with me when I can't sleep. That's the man I'm choosing. Dante's expression cracked open, revealing vulnerability she'd never seen. I don't deserve you. Probably not, but you have me anyway. They stood there, holding each other in the quiet of his office, and Elena understood they'd just crossed a point of no return. Whatever came next, joy or heartbreak or something in between, they would face it together. 3 months passed in a fragile bubble of almost normalcy. Elena found work at a small bookstore owned by one of Dante's associates. Legitimate business, carefully vetted for safety. She spent mornings shelving books and afternoons with Isabella, helping with homework and art projects. Dante's business continued in the shadows, but he kept it carefully separate from their domestic life. Elena didn't ask questions about late-night meetings or the tension that sometimes lined his shoulders. He didn't volunteer information about shipments or territorial disputes. They existed in an unspoken agreement. His world and their world remained distinct, until the night everything shattered. Elena was reading in bed when Dante burst into her room at 2 a.m, fully dressed in tactical gear she'd never seen. Him where? "Get Isabella," he said, his voice clipped with controlled panic. "Meet me in the panic room. 2 minutes. Don't ask questions." The terror in his eyes killed any argument. Elena ran to Isabella's room, scooping the sleeping child into her arms. "Shh, baby. It's okay. We're playing a game." The panic room was hidden behind a bookshelf in Dante's office. Elena had been shown its location when she first moved in, but never expected to use it. Dante was already there, typing commands into a security panel. "Inside, now." "What's happening?" "The Caruso family. They're hitting us tonight. Multiple locations simultaneously." He pulled up camera feeds showing armed men approaching the gates. "This house is one of their targets." Elena's blood went cold. She clutched Isabella tighter as Dante ushered them into the reinforced room. "Stay here. Don't open this door for anyone but me." He pressed a gun into Elena's shaking hands. "If someone gets through who isn't me, use this. Aim for center mass. Don't hesitate." "Dante?" He kissed her hard and desperate. "I love you. Tell Isabella I love her. If something happens, nothing's happening. You're coming back." "If something happens," he continued, his voice rough, "there's a safe in the back corner. Code is Isabella's birthday. Everything you need is inside. Money, documents, instructions for getting you both out of the country. Stop talking like you're going to die." "I have to." He cupped her face. "In case I do." Gunfire erupted outside. Close. Too close. Dante's expression hardened into something lethal. "Lock this door. Don't open it for anyone." Then he was gone. The door sealed with a hydraulic hiss, leaving Elena and Isabella in dim emergency lighting. The child was awake now, trembling against Elena's chest. "Lena, I'm scared." "Me too, baby. But we're safe here. Your papa made sure of it." They huddled together on the floor while sounds of violence filtered through the reinforced walls. Gunfire, shouting. Explosions that made the entire room shake. Hours crawled by. Isabella eventually cried herself into fitful sleep. Elena stayed awake, clutching the gun Dante had given her, praying to a god she wasn't sure she believed in. When the door finally opened, Elena raised the weapon with shaking hands. "It's me," Dante's voice. "Don't shoot." He looked like he'd walked through hell. Blood spattered his face and clothes. Some his, most not. A deep gash across his left arm dripped steadily. His eyes were haunted, hollow. But he was alive. Elena set the gun down and threw herself into his arms, not caring about the blood, only caring that he was breathing. "Is it over?" she whispered against his chest. "For now." His arms tightened around her with painful intensity. "They're retreating. We held them off." "You're hurt." "Flesh wound. I'm fine." He pulled back to look at Isabella, still sleeping. "She okay?" "Scared, but safe." Something in Dante's expression broke. He sank to the floor, pulling both of them into his arms, and Elena felt him shaking. "I almost lost you," he said against her hair. "They got so close. If Marco hadn't spotted their advance team early." His voice cracked. "I can't do this. Can't put you in danger like this." "Dante." "No. Listen to me." He pulled back, his eyes red-rimmed with exhaustion and fear. This is my life, Elena. Violence and blood and enemies who will never stop coming. Tonight was close. Too close. Next time, we might not be lucky. So what are you saying? I'm saying you need to leave, you and Isabella. I'll arrange transport out of the country. New identities, enough money to live comfortably for the rest of your lives. You want us to just disappear? To leave you here alone? I want you safe. His hands gripped her shoulders. I want Isabella to have a chance at a normal life. I want you to be free of this nightmare I've trapped you in. You didn't trap me. I chose this. I chose you. Then I'm unchoosing it for you. He stood, his expression shuddering into the cold mask she hadn't seen in months. You're leaving Chicago within 48 hours. That's not negotiable. You don't get to make that decision. I do, and it's your life at stake. His control finally snapped. Don't you understand? They were seconds from breaching this room. Seconds from taking you, from hurting you to hurt me. I can't. He turned away, his shoulders rigid. I can't watch another person I love die because of who I am. The words hung in the air, heavy with grief and finality. So that's it? Elena's voice broke. You love me, but you're sending me away? Yes. He didn't turn around. Because loving you means protecting you, even from myself. Elena wanted to argue, to fight, to make him see reason. But Isabella stirred in her arms, whimpering in her sleep, and the reality crashed over her. This wasn't just about her anymore. It was about a 7-year-old girl who'd already lost her mother to violence, who'd spent tonight terrified in a panic room while bullets flew. Okay, Elena whispered. We'll go. Dante's shoulders sagged with relief and devastation. But Dante, look at me. He turned slowly. This isn't over. You're not getting rid of me that easily. She held his gaze. I'll take Isabella somewhere safe. I'll give her the childhood she deserves. But when you're ready, when you've found a way to end this war, I'll be waiting. We both will be. Something flickered in his eyes. Hope, maybe. Or regret. You shouldn't wait for me. You should move on. Find someone good. I don't want someone good. I want you. Elena shifted Isabella in her arms. So finish this. End the violence. Become the man you want to be for her. For us. And then come find me. And if I can't? If this war never ends? Then I guess we'll both have to live with broken hearts. 2 days later, Elena stood in the foyer with packed bags and a sleeping Isabella in her arms. Dante had arranged everything, private. Plane to London, apartment in a quiet neighborhood, accounts with enough money to last years. He'd thought of everything except how to say goodbye. Sophia will meet you there next week, he said, his voice carefully neutral. I've arranged for her transfer to Imperial College. Full scholarship, living expenses covered. Thank you. Marco will travel with you. Stay until you're settled. He handed her an envelope. Documents for you both. New names, backstories, everything you need. Elena took the envelope with numb fingers. This was really happening. They were really leaving. Dante. Don't. He stepped back when she moved closer. If you touch me right now, I won't let you go. And you need to go. Isabella's going to wake up on a plane wondering where her papa is. I wrote her a letter. It's in your bag. His jaw worked. Tell her I love her. Tell her this is temporary. Tell her... His voice broke. Tell her I'm sorry. The car was waiting outside. Marco opened the back door, his expression carefully blank. Elena paused at the threshold, looking back one last time. Dante stood in the doorway of his mansion, looking more alone than anyone should ever be. I love you, she said. Not a goodbye, a promise. I know. His hands clenched at his sides. That's why you have to leave. Elena climbed into the car, cradling Isabella against her chest. As they pulled away, she watched through the rear window until Dante's figure disappeared from view. She didn't know it then, but it would be the last time she'd see him for 2 years. The last time she'd see him before everything fell apart completely. Because Dante Moretti was about to make a choice that would destroy them all. A choice born of desperation and love, and the terrible conviction that he was doing the right thing. He was going to tell Elena Martinez the cruelest lie of all, and by the time he realized his mistake, it would be far too late. Thank you so much for watching until the end. If you love this story, check out the other videos on your screen now. I think you'll really enjoy them. And don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. See you in the next story.